This is a phrase that became legendary, and one the unfortunate Queen of France, Marie Antoinette herself, would hardly have argued with. In today's video, I'm going to tell you the story of a diamond necklace that helped destroy the French monarchy, led a queen to the guillotine, and became the centre of one of the most brilliant jewel frauds in history. In the jewel caskets of queens, even today there are countless ornaments dazzling with their brilliance. Yet, among all of them, it would be difficult to find anything more magnificent than the necklace that stands at the centre of our story today. Just think about these numbers. 647 diamonds totaling 2,840 carats and 100 pearls. The necklace was so heavy that special ribbons had to be tied behind the neck simply to support it. This truly royal gift was conceived by the aging King Louis XV for his last favourite, Madame du Barry. In 1772, he turned two Parisian jewellers, Charles Auguste Boehmer and Paul Bassange, with this extraordinary commission. However, he made no payment in advance. It was assumed that the craftsmen would receive their money only after the piece was completed. Creating such a jewel proved to be no easy task, even for masters of their skill. First, it took them several years to gather such an enormous number of high-quality diamonds from all over the world, and in the process, they spent almost their entire fortune. But then something happened that the jewellers could never have anticipated. In 1774, the king fell ill with smallpox and died within just 2 weeks. Naturally, the necklace was the last thing on his mind. Madame du Barry, who was far from beloved by the new royal couple, Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, was immediately sent away from court. And of course, she had no money of her own to pay for such a luxury. But the jewellers did not lose hope. They believed that the young new queen, known for her love of fashion and beautiful adornments, would surely appreciate their masterpiece. And so they continued working on it for another 4 years. However, what the jewellers failed to take into account was the situation in which the young royal couple had inherited the throne. At that moment, the deficit of the French treasury amounted to 335 million livres, and when the jewellers finally received an audience with the queen and presented their work to her, she heard the price. 2 million livres, which today would be roughly 17 million euros, and immediately refused, saying that France needed ships far more than diamonds. Besides, the necklace itself apparently did not appeal to her very much. She even compared it to a horse's harness. Most likely, that was part of the reason. But perhaps an even bigger one was that she had no desire to own anything associated with the woman she so deeply despised, Madame du Barry, whom she had addressed only once in her entire life. The jewellers, now standing on the brink of ruin, began unsuccessfully trying to sell the necklace to other royal courts across Europe, but still could not find a buyer. Then, in 1781, when the Queen finally gave birth to the long-awaited son, they once again appealed to the king, hoping he might buy the necklace for his wife as a gift for the birth of the heir. Louis XVI almost agreed, but yet another military setback forced him to abandon the idea. In despair, one of the jewellers even threw himself at the Queen's feet, threatening to take his own life. Marie Antoinette refused for the last time. She advised him to dismantle the necklace and sell the diamonds separately, so that the most valuable stones could at least be sold at a good price. She replied, "Don't ever talk to me about it. Sell it and don't drown." But none of the heroes of this story knew that while they were deciding the fate of the necklace, an entirely different game was already unfolding around it in Versailles. A real intrigue in which these very diamonds were also at stake. At court, there was a young woman, Countess Jeanne de la Motte. She was a distant descendant of the illegitimate son of King Henry II, yet despite this lineage, she lived in extremely modest circumstances. Jeanne repeatedly tried to appeal to the royal family for some kind of financial support, but Marie Antoinette carefully avoided her, well aware of her questionable reputation and scandalous lifestyle. Jeanne was openly married to a man while openly living with her lover. Nevertheless, Jeanne continued to convince everyone that she was a relative of the royal family and a close confidant of the Queen. Spending time around Versailles, she managed to acquire several lovers among influential men, and one of them was Cardinal Louis-René Edouard, Prince de Rohan. The Cardinal was also on Marie Antoinette's blacklist because he had once allowed himself to speak disrespectfully about her mother, Empress Maria Theresa. The Cardinal was an ambitious man who loved women and money, and as the rest of this story will show, he was not particularly burdened with critical thinking. He was ready to do almost anything to regain the Queen's favour, and Jeanne quickly took advantage of this. She began extracting money from him, claiming that the Queen herself was secretly borrowing it through her. As proof, Jeanne even brought him forged letters, supposedly written by Marie Antoinette. Their tone was so intimate that, before long, the Cardinal began to believe that there was a mutual romantic sympathy between him and the Queen. The only thing neither the Cardinal nor Jeanne knew was that the letters contained one crucial mistake. They were signed Marie Antoinette of France, but the real Marie Antoinette never signed her letters that way. She simply wrote Marie Antoinette. But what puzzled Rohan was that at court the Queen continued to ignore him, passing by with a cold expression on her face. And then Jeanne decided to make a bold move in order to convince the Cardinal of the Queen's favour and continue drawing money from him. She promised that she would arrange a meeting between them. For the role of the Queen, she found a prostitute who bore a striking resemblance to Marie Antoinette. On the night of August 11th, 1784, at 11 o'clock in the evening, they met in the gardens of Versailles. The girl's face was hidden behind a veil, and as she handed the Cardinal a rose, she whispered meaningfully, "You know what this means. You may be certain that the past will be forgotten." The Cardinal was delighted. From that moment on, he fully believed not only in his romantic connection with the Queen, but also in Jeanne's extraordinary influence over her. In December of that same year, Jeanne met with the jewellers, who also believed her when she claimed to be a close friend of Marie Antoinette. They showed her the necklace and asked her to help persuade the Queen to purchase it. And it was at that moment that Jeanne conceived perhaps the most audacious plan of all, a plan she soon put into action. She brought the Cardinal yet another forged letter from Marie Antoinette, in which the Queen supposedly asked him to help her secretly purchase the necklace, promising that she would repay him later because she wished to keep the entire matter private. Jeanne assured him that if he helped the Queen, Marie Antoinette would help him obtain the prestigious position of minister, and the ambitious Rohan agreed immediately. He wrote 4 promissory notes to the jewellers, received the necklace, and that very same evening delivered it to Jeanne. Jeanne and her accomplices immediately dismantled the necklace, crudely tearing the precious stones from it with a knife. They then began attempting to sell the diamonds in England and the Netherlands. The fate of these diamonds remains unknown to this day. Most likely, they disappeared into private jewel boxes and other pieces of jewellery. But the magnificent and unique necklace itself was destroyed in the most barbaric way. What you saw in the video are only reconstructions made from historical sketches. Soon, Jeanne moved into luxurious apartments and began hosting lavish receptions, explaining her sudden wealth as an inheritance. But she did not enjoy this fortune for long. Both the Cardinal and the jewellers soon began to notice something strange. Month after month passed, yet the Queen was never seen wearing the necklace, and that was highly unusual. On top of that, the time was approaching when the Queen was supposedly supposed to pay for the jewel. Jeanne kept postponing the dates again and again, while the Cardinal in turn kept delaying payment to the jewellers. Eventually, the jewellers decided to go directly to Marie Antoinette's First Lady's maid, Madame Campan, to discuss the situation. And that was the moment when everything finally came to light. The maid immediately spoke to the Queen, and Marie Antoinette, shocked by the entire situation, ordered an investigation at once. As proof, Rohan began presenting the Queen's letters, which, as we know, were forgeries. When Marie Antoinette saw them, she flew into a rage and said to him, How could you possibly imagine that I, who have not spoken to you for 10 years, would turn to you with such a matter? The cardinal was arrested and sent to the Bastille. The king decided to organise a public trial because the reputation of the queen was now at stake. After all, Rohan had allowed himself to believe that he had a romantic relationship with her, and that she was even ready to betray her husband. But to the great surprise of the royal family, in May 1786, the court delivered its final verdict. The cardinal was declared innocent. Public opinion sided with Rohan, believing that the queen had simply tried to take revenge on a man she personally disliked. Madame de la Motte and her accomplices were arrested and convicted. She was even branded with a hot iron with the letter V, which stood for voleuse, thief. But later, she managed to escape from prison and flee to London, where she wrote a memoir in which she described her supposed connection with Marie Antoinette, once again tarnishing the Queen's reputation. This biography soon became yet another tool of propaganda during the French Revolution. However, Jeanne herself did not enjoy her freedom for long. After quickly taking out numerous financial loans and failing to repay them, she was eventually found beneath the window of her rented room with a slashed eye. The affair of the diamond necklace stirred society so deeply that it became the final blow to the Queen's already damaged reputation. By that time, Marie Antoinette was widely disliked. People mockingly called her the Austrian woman and Madame Deficit. And now, even the carefully cultivated image of a virtuous and devoted mother, which she had spent years trying to build, was completely destroyed. She was now rumoured to be the cardinal's lover, and pamphlets accusing her of this were printed and spread through the streets of Paris. And so, it turned out that a woman who in reality had absolutely nothing to do with this affair, and who was in many ways a victim herself, faced nothing but public condemnation. The Queen almost completely withdrew from public appearances, and 4 years later, the French Revolution began. Goethe wrote, "These intrigues destroyed the royal dignity." The story of the necklace is therefore the immediate preface to the revolution. On October 16, 1793, the blade of the guillotine cut through the neck of Marie Antoinette, perhaps exactly where the famous necklace might once have rested. And so, a heap of precious stones, quite unfairly, helped destroy Marie Antoinette, becoming one of the final drops that broke the people's patience. And what do you think? Wasn't it too high a price to pay for a mistake she never even committed? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to leave this video a like. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon with a new story on this channel.